Hello, this is Spellbinder with this news update on the continuing Gulf disaster that really hasn't gone away, but now may be getting worse. Even though they have supposedly stopped the spill and everything, it may be just too late. They let too much out for too long, and now we're going to have side effects for years to come. The first thing that's starting to happen now is the blue flu. Cases spreading around the Gulf. The blue flu infecting people along the Gulf of Mexico, other southern states. Some people are calling it the BP flu, but it's commonly being called the blue flu because the alleged symptoms include blue lips and skin. It's scaring the hell out of people all around the Gulf, from Texas to Florida. And they say it's different from tilt, which is toxic-induced loss of tolerance, because tilt, was when people that worked actually on the cleanup on the beaches and stuff were cleaning the stuff up, and it was skin being irritated, eyes, headaches, and dizziness. But the ones who are now with the blue flu are actually getting, this is the symptoms of it. They were not even near the cleanup or anything. They just lived down there in the south and near the Gulf. Symptoms include swollen glands, notably in the neck, fever, vomiting, headache, bluish lip color, numbness in fingers and toes. The most alarming symptom being reported is severe symptomatic cyanosis. This is the entire body turning blue, a discoloration of the skin. Of course, this could cause alarm that these are symptoms of oxygen depletion along the Gulf. But could this also be from the Coexit that they use, since they use so much in so little of time? The Coexit 9527A was first used, and they found it was so toxic they had to replace it with the Coex 9500. And it was probably just too late by then. Whatever the cause of the blue flu, it's important to note that the oil spill wasn't cleaned up, it was covered up. As stated in the above quote, Coexit was sprayed and dumped all over the place as simply a rather dangerous chemical agent that prevented the oil from surfacing. After all, the government isn't interested in your safety. Rather, the government is intended in creating the illusion of safety, and the government often harms more people in the end in their effort to keep up appearances. So let's expect the blue flu to keep under wraps as much as possible in an effort to deflect criticism. It would not be surprised if the government sounded the alarm over another flu bug. Let's blame it on a flu bug. Yes, it's a flu bug. It's not the Coexit. And in effect for misdirection. The political class wants the oil spill story out of the way and forgotten. Yes, they want this to go away, something they haven't even finished cleaning up yet. BP is in trouble. I see a class action suit for $1 trillion for the people along the coast of the Gulf of Mexico. There are two major articles about blue flu that I read, none of them MSN. One is an alarmist tone, and the other is like I just read, this one here. Among with the symptoms that mimic flu-like viruses, there are increasing cases of severe symptomatic cyanosis. These rapidly increasing symptoms range from bluish lip color to numbness in fingers and toes, and also a fast-growing increase in pneumonia cases that are being diagnosed as chemical-induced pneumonia. These working on boats and those living directly on the coast are the most affected. Cyanosis is simply oxygen starvation in the blood. With a moderate case involving such a lack of oxygen, the skin appears to have a bluish color. Hands and fingers especially show these signs, as well as other extremities as toes and lips. A lack of oxygen in the blood can also have a purplish appearance, with the skin surface is red from the sun exposure, but the blood beneath the skin is blue, and the red and the blue make purple. If all these blue flu symptoms were temporary, most everyone suffering from them would eventually recover as the blood becomes increasingly oxygenated once removed from the oxygen-depleted source. I wanted to double-check the statement that cyanosis is simply oxygen starvation from the blood. I went over to Wikipedia. During cyanosis, tissues are uncharacteristically low on oxygen. Therefore, tissue that would normally be filled with bright oxygenated blood are instead filled with darker deoxygenated blood. Darker blood is much more prone to the blue shifting optical effect. Thus, the oxygen deficiency, hypoxia, leads to blue discoloration of lips and other mucous membranes. The writer goes on to suggest that while the blue flu symptoms are increasing for more and more people, these who have had 30-plus days of direct exposure to toxic and oxygen-depleted Gulf air and water are in immediate danger of permanent and irreversible biological damage, if not death. Damn, that's a great time to look at the More Measures, Less Panicked article. Well, as I said, you may need to get some masks. And with oxygen tanks, this is pretty bad. That's Article 1. Let's go to Article 2. This is one at the video on it. This is from Gulf, Florida Oil Spill Law, and they have a video here I'm going to play, and you're going to get to hear that it's getting bad down there. You people may have to start moving if you haven't already. Don't come back yet if you already left for a couple of months, because it's getting to be the main part of the side effects of this cleanup. Here it is.
Is that there's massive fish kills in one or all of the 4 states on any given day. There's massive amounts of oil continuing to be found, both submerged as well as floating around and washing up on land. And people are suffering in a very severe way. And from what I'm seeing, the crisis seems to continue to get worse. More and more people being made sick, living along the coast, blaming the use of the dispersants. Meanwhile, more BP and the federal government and the Coast Guard and NOAA, among other federal agencies, continue to pretend as though everything's just fine. And actually, right now, it seems to be the worst I've seen it yet.
There you go. There's evidence, too. Here's another video. This is on helium. Article from Helium itself, and here's the video.
I don't think it is conspiratorial. I think it's a basic principle of journalism to follow the money. And we have conflict of interest rules precisely because people are human, and when you can benefit personally, economically, from policies that you are advancing, then those policies are called into question, and the questions are raised. So that's why we have this legal architecture to prevent obvious conflicts of interest. And the Bush administration, key figures in the Bush administration have just shown enormous defiance in the face of those rules, and really twisted the White House lawyers up in knots trying to rationalize holding on to these stocks. But to me, it's a broader question about the economy, what I call the disaster capitalism complex, and the fact that I don't believe. Well, I think that there's a particular way of thinking that comes with being in the business of disaster. And I'm not talking about just any old economic holding, right? I'm talking about those particular economic holdings that increase, whose fortunes increase when things go bad, right? So, oil and gas. The bad things happen, the price of oil goes up. This we know, right? Whether it is a hurricane, whether it's a war, whether it's a fear of a war, whether it's Chavez and Ahmadinejad hugging, whatever it is bad, price of oil goes up, right? And the same is true for defense stocks, the same is true of Homeland Security stocks, the same is true for drug companies that are in the business of pandemics. So this is how I'm defining broadly the disaster capitalism complex, which is bigger than the military-industrial complex. The reason why Eisenhower gave that famous warning in his last presidential address about the danger of the military-industrial complex is precisely because this is an industry that has an economic incentive for war and instability. So I think that there is something really significant that we need to talk about in that the Bush administration, the people who've been running the government in Washington, but also the occupation of Iraq, are card-carrying members of the disaster capitalism complex. I realize I don't think it sounds conspiratorial. I think it sounds obvious, right? I'm, in fact, embarrassed to be pointing this out because it's such an obvious point. But it amazes me that people don't talk about it all the time. That Dick Cheney was in the business of privatizing the U.S. military before he went into office. That Donald Rumsfeld was in the business of profiting from pandemics before he went into office. That Bush was in the oil and gas business before he came into office. That his father was connected to the Carlyle Group, which is a major weapons dealer. That Paul Bremer, the chief envoy in Iraq who laid the economic framework for the occupation, that 1 month after September 11th, he launched a Homeland Security company to advise other corporations on how they could protect themselves in this new era. That Rudy Giuliani did the same thing 3 months later. So these are all people who see profit directly from terrorism, natural disasters, and pandemics. What is their economic incentive to get us off this disastrous course? I mean, we need political leaders who think disasters are bad. That to me is a good starting premise.
See, that was a big think. And that was about the Bush administration and stuff a while back. And it's not talking about today, but you can see Obama doing the same thing. He's sitting there covering up for BP. He'd sit there and act tough with them and everything, but do you really see him really do anything? I mean, it's kind of like it's pretty scary that he didn't really do much to stop any of this. It's like, I don't know why, but I gotta turn that back down because if I go to another video, it's gonna be loud as all Walking Dead, BP Golf. Well, I think that's about it. I mean, I can go back here and go back over this. I basically covered the blue flu cases spreading from Dateline 0. Like I said, all these will be at the bottom of this video in the description. I'll have the link to all these web pages. I don't know why the volume was so low on that last one. I had to turn it up almost 3/4 way just so I could get the microphone close enough to hear it. Let's see. Here's this one here. Let me see how this one goes.
And it really has a lot of great news. It's Florida Oil Spill Law. I think they're great over there. I've never met them, but I get a lot of news from there, and they have a lot of great information. To me, this website, FloridaOilSpillLaw.com, has just an amazing amount of information constantly being put up, and it's just so great to me that they're able to really get the news out there and have everything backed up and sourced. And I just really wanted to give a decent shout out is FloridaOilSpillLaw.com. Now, these guys have been around since the beginning as well, and they really outdo themselves all the time. Especially in the past week, there's been a lot of people out there who are just feeling like all of their effort is not meaning anything, and all the effort to spread the news out. People get frustrated sometimes. I had about 5 or 6 different people who've been working on this call me and say, I just want to give up. And I tell everyone, do not give up on the truth, because the truth is the only thing that is going to help us and save us in the end. And I truly believe that. And I don't care how down or low or upset anybody out there who's seeking the truth feels. That's the best thing. I mean, we don't want to be eating crap for the rest of our lives. So the Florida Oil Spill Law has some great information. The articles are very well researched and written, and they're updated almost constantly. I would love to talk to this person. I feel like he has a lot of very, very good information on there, and I could just sit through his site for an entire day and still not absorb everything. So FloridaOilSpillLaw.com.
Well, there's a plug for FloridaOilSpill.com. Hope you enjoyed that. It is a good site. Rent's got a lot of their stuff on the oil, about the oil disaster on the left of his page when you go to rents.com. Let's see. What else is there? Oh, let's see. 1 million gallons of oil a day until July. Coastal resident related post. Well, I guess that's it for now. I guess I'll get this up, get this posted. Let you people absorb this, read over the articles, look at all the links on the pages. This one, I believe this one here had some good links on it. On this one here at the bottom. Let's see, lack of oxygen there. Read the entire article. Is our oxygen running out? There's an article. Oh well. Until next time, this is Spellbinder saying be good at it, and have a good day if you're not down on the coast. If you're on the coast, get out of there. If you got out of there, don't come back yet. Until next time, good day.